He's on virtual. Put him over here, maybe next to the president, next to Richard. Yeah. Great. That's great.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Do you need me to move over?
I think the only potential I see is I wouldn't be surprised if people try to minutes out. And she says something, and I'll say, Madam Chair, we
To tell you, I don't know if you knew that Sarah Lynn is one of the ACFS reps for UF is in that program. So I don't know if you would have run into her at any of the BOG events, but no. I could certainly put in a good word. I don't know.
special hearing.
The nature of this job that you're doing is hard under these circumstances. I think in a current situation where everything is so polarized, it's all the more. So, I mean, I think that is so much of your sort of interpersonal skills. So yeah, I'll definitely reach out to her. I mean, I don't know that it makes any difference to just say this to somebody. It's something you might want to know about. What? I'd be willing to hear that. I meant to say also, I mean, last meeting, I kind of regretted afterwards not jumping in and just saying that let's at least let Trustee Aldonado ask her questions.
Chrissy, where can I go to find
I don't
documents?
think it changes any of the options, and I understand everybody's in a
Do I
hurry.
have to go to my new college account?
No, you can just go on to
Should at
your
least be able to.
internet there. Are you connected to the internet?
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Of course.
No, it's connecting. Or connecting to.
Looks like we have a relatively light agenda this time, so. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to give you guys enough time to talk about me.
So when do you,
Go on. If you want to go on for 30 minutes.
Connecting. Which one do you want to go to?
so are you here through the end of the spring, or do you rotate off earlier? Okay, so the April meeting will probably be all that stuff. Yeah. That one might be a little more substantive because, the session's ended, so we should know more about the budget, the whole USF question, which I have very mixed feelings about. Yeah. Well, and it's the tenure and promotion, so we'll have several faculty. I don't think we have as many as in previous years, but how are you doing?
Testing, testing.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Do what now?
Good. Put them to get them. Am I on?
1 2 test 1 2.
Test 1 2. Can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I don't think we're hot yet.
Yes, sir.
We hot yet? I hear it. How's that? Oh, that's better. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the New College of Florida Board of Trustees meeting. Today's Thursday, February 12th. We're supposed to start at 3 o'clock. We're pretty much on time. I would ask that, before we start the meeting, that you join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Ms. Fitzpatrick, can you please do the roll call?
Yes. Trustee Anderson?
Here.
Trustee Baldonado? Here. Trustee Bauerlein?
I see him. He can't hear. I think
Can't
you're
hear us?
muted. He still can't hear.
Can you guys hear us online?
Okay, let's see if we can get the online audio. They're not muted. Let's see.
Can you hear us now?
How about, yeah, I don't know. What does the sound room say?
Can you guys, can you hear us online yet?
Hang on.
Can you hear us?
Let's give them a second to see if they can fix the sound.
Can you guys hear us yet? Nothing.
No. Let's see if they can fix it in the sound room there. Yeah, let's recess for a couple minutes until they can fix this.
Can you hear us now?
Now I got a thumbs up. Let's see.
Recording in progress.
Okay. That scared them. Okay, let's try this again. Let's do the roll call. Ms. Fitzpatrick?
Okay. Trustee Anderson?
No, Mr.
They're shaking their heads.
Nothing now? Can you hear us?
Looks like they're muted now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, give them a couple minutes.
I apologize, everybody. We're going to just wait a couple minutes. We'll recess for a couple minutes until our sound techs can, they can hear us, but we have to be able to hear them. I know. Okay,
Can you guys try to speak and so you can hear, can we hear you? I don't know if we can hear you. Can somebody say something?
Trustee Bauerlein, can you hear us? He's nodding yes. Okay. Trustee Anderson, can you hear us? Yes.
Could you speak so we can see if we can hear you?
Yeah.
Sure. Testing. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4.
There we go.
Testing. Can you
Okay.
guys hear me?
Yep.
Testing.
Yeah.
2. Yep. Okay,
All right.
great.
Recess is over. Third time's the charm. Let's call the roll, please.
Trustee Anderson?
Trustee Anderson, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Trustee Baldonado? Trustee Bauerlein?
Trustee Bauerlein, can you hear us?
Yes, here.
He's here.
Maybe it's your mic.
Jaco?
It's your-
Trustee Jaco, we see you. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you, but I think in the room.
Okay.
It's Mike.
I think it's Christie's mic, which we need to have fixed anyway.
Trustee Harvey?
Here.
Trustee Carp?
Here.
Trustee Kessler? Trustee Mackey? Here. Trustee Meyer?
Here.
Trustee Patterson?
Here.
Trustee Spalding?
Here.
Chair Jinks,
Here.
Vice Chair Cristaldi.
Here.
Quorum is present and the meeting was publicly noticed.
Okay.
Oh, the landowner got part out?
Okay, so we got all the sound. All right, I just want to welcome our newest trustee, Urban Meyer. Congratulations to our Board of Trustees. And I would like to, he's not here, but thank former trustee Christopher Rufo for his work with us. At this time, the meeting's officially called to order, and we will now take public comment. It is the policy of New College of Florida that if you wish to make public comment, you need to have registered 48 hours before our meeting, and you are directed to speak to something that's on our agenda for business today. That being said, each commenter will have a minute. There's a countdown here on the screen, and you will come up when your name is called, and when your minute is up, we ask that you kindly yield the mic to the next person who's waiting to speak. Ms. Fitzpatrick, can you please call the public commenters up who have
First
signed
up.
up?
Sure. First up this afternoon, we have Kathleen Cody, followed by Rodrigo Diaz, and then Ruth Follett.
Kathleen Cody with NCF Freedom and an alum. I'm requesting that you table the acceptance of the minutes of the updated plan until it is clear what plan was actually voted on. Just a moment of reflection for this group. I've spoken at virtually every BOT for the last 3 years. Though a longstanding donor and alum from 64 with much institutional knowledge, not one trustee has ever answered any of my questions or reached out to me to further their knowledge of the complex issues NC faces as an institution. You have made the public speaking process ineffective with 1 minute speaking time, clearly a nonverbal way making it clear that you have no intention of listening to us. I show in public because I figure you'll just kind of put me on, mute me on Zoom. I have watched in dismay the disregard and disrespect often shown to the student and faculty trustees. In sum, I would say I am disappointed in the behavior of a number of the trustees. I also object, not today, but in the past, to the heavy police presence as if we were criminals, not interested community representatives.
Rodrigo Diaz.
Concerning the President's job evaluation, I note that last August, at the President's request, this board conferred an honorary doctorate on Marie Michelle Heinemann. However, last month, Ms. Heinemann was profiled in SRQ magazine, a popular periodical in Sarasota, which referred to her as Dr. Marie Michelle Heinemann, though her education does not include any doctoral degree. 2 public comments made during the August board meeting expressed concerns about the college's new honorary degree policy, but the concerns were addressed only minimally during the meeting. The college should look into this matter. However, if more heed had been taken of the public comments about the new honorary degree policy last August, it might not be necessary now to make awkward phone calls to a local magazine or a local philanthropist. Thank you.
Next up, Ruth Follett, then Judy Burns, followed by Lillian Rod.
Hello, I'm Ruth Follett. I want to amend the information that I presented at the December 2025 BOT meeting. My focus is on air pollution from the airport on East Campus. I suggested you people do some investigating of air quality, but clearly you're not interested. So on the 16th of January and the 19th of January, with my own bought air quality sensor, I did some data collection and found that on both days, the VOC, AQI, or volatile organic compounds at all of the locations at the athletic fields were the great majority of the time between 200 and 256. That means that there's an increased inhalation of exposure, there's concern for repeated daily training and justification for further monitoring. You are at a crossroads. Either you pause the construction of athletic fields or you will be on public record that you don't care about the health of student athletes.
Next up, Judy Burns, Lillian Rod, and then John O'Miller.
Hello, Judy Burns, President, Uplands Association. Chair and trustees, I respectfully request that approval of the minutes for Campus Master Plan second public hearing be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration. At the time of the December 17th vote, two distinct versions of the plan were in circulation, a redlined version and a clean version, and they were not identical. It is not clear from the public record whether the version approved was the redlined version or the clean version. Clarification on these points before approval of the minutes would help ensure the record accurately reflects what was approved. I request that both versions be preserved and entered into the minutes, and that the minutes clearly reflect the specific document approved. Thank you.
Lillian Rod, John O'Miller, and then Karen Stack.
Hi, my name is Lillian Rod, and I am Uplands resident. My comments are in regards to agenda item 4, approval of minutes from the December 17th Board of Trustees meeting. During December meeting, a trustee asked whether the master plan presentation was incorporated into the version of the plan being voted on, and the council responded that it was. Upon review of the adopted plan document and resolution, I do not see an express incorporation by reference of the presentation materials. Before the board votes to approve the minutes, I respectfully request clarification on whether the presentation was formally incorporated by reference through the board's vote, and if so, where that incorporation is reflected in the adopted record. Because incorporation by reference determines the legal scope of what was approved, it is important that the minutes accurately reflect whether the presentation materials are part of the binding plan or were provided for discussion only. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, John O'Miller, then Karen Stack, Peter Shellhorn.
John O'Miller for NCF Freedom. At 50 minutes and 18 seconds into the meeting, Trustee Karp moved to approve the update. At that time, there were two versions of the update, a redline version that showed changes and a clean version that did not. There's correspondence from the college advising citizens to comment on the redline version. Unfortunately, as I documented in the email I sent to you yesterday via Ms. Fitzpatrick, the two versions contain different language. So it's not clear what version you are voting on. The one you received public comment on or testimony which differs from your adopted version, or the clean version which at least some of the public did not comment on. I don't think you want the record to show that you adopted a document that differs from what you took testimony on unless the motion had clarified how it differed, and that didn't happen. So I think there's a problem. I think you've got a total unclarity as to which document was adopted, and the document that people are supposed to comment on is not the one. Thank you.
Next up, we have Karen Stack, Peter Shellhorn, and then Mike Sanderson.
I, Karen Stack, respectfully request that approval of the December 17th, 2025 Board of Trustee minutes be pulled from the consent agenda so trustees may discuss which version of the Campus Master Plan was presented and ensure that the record accurately reflects the plan that was adopted. Neighbors were directed by the administration to review a redline version of the plan that reflected responses and remedies to public comments. However, the board ultimately voted on a different final version, one in which many of those redline provisions were removed. Those removals were not minor edits. They involved material changes affecting mitigation commitments and development parameters, approving minutes that do not clearly reflect that a materially different version was voted on risks ratifying an incomplete record. Accuracy in the official record matters. Thank you.
Next up, we have Peter Shellhorn and then Mike Sanderson.
This is Peter Shellhorn with this question to the Board of Trustees. Were you aware that the version of the master plan you voted to adopt on December 17th differed substantially from the redline version presented to you and the public by architect Glenn Darling? Despite public comments stating the two versions were different, Attorney William Clegg told you that the two documents were the same. In fact, the administration had been clearly informed 2 days prior in an email thread with specific examples that the documents did not align. Many inconsistencies were discoverable through a simple comparison. Despite this fact, the discrepancies were not formally presented to you prior to the vote to adopt. This issue brings into doubt the very integrity of the process. As such, the minutes of the last meeting should not be approved on consent as written.
Last up is Michael Sanderson.
Thank you. My name is Mike Sanderson. I entered New College in 1999. I'm speaking on Richard Corcoran's bonus. My full comment and supporting documents are at mikesand.com. As some of you know, in 2025, I went to all the Board of Governors meetings, and they are laughing at Corcoran there. At the BOG, they have the real metrics, and they know the failure of this place. Fewer freshmen this year than in fall 2022. That Corcoran is getting tens of millions more from the state makes it worse. I have the raw budget data from the State University data system. There are obvious falsehoods and massive discrepancies, including in funds for the General Counsel's office. The athletics program is illegally funded with E&G. At the audit committee last week, Zumis didn't tell you that he put false information about it in an email to the Inspector General the day before, which I called out. I'm formally submitting this, and if you don't get an independent opinion on Zumis, on the budget, and on athletic spending, it's hard to avoid charges of conscious indifference, willful and wanton disregard for your duty. Thank you.
That concludes our public comment.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I now move to, I asked somebody for a motion for approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? I can't hear you.
Aye.
Aye. We're not voting yet.
Aye.
I think we should be voting.
Okay, so
the meeting or the hearing on the plan? Oh, the full board meeting?
Okay, so
Yeah, I'd also, just because a number of people were raising questions.
Madam Chair, if I can before
Yeah,
Trustee
I'd like to
Harvey
hear
speaks.
our.
We were made aware of the issues that were brought up. It's been scrubbed by legal. The minutes are legally accurate. Furthermore, I would advise that we not get into a discussion on the master plan, given that there is pending administrative litigation. But if the question is whether or not the minutes are legally accurate, it is this opinion, my opinion, council's opinion, that they are.
Aside from the other comments that were
Y'all speak up.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear anything.
Aside from the comments given by the public, there was another matter in the minutes that I wanted to bring up.
that's fine. So we're going to pull both sets of minutes?
No, we pulled the main meeting minutes.
Okay.
And Trustee Baldonado is raising an issue other than the one I just addressed.
So we put that into,
Well, let's hear what her.
yeah, let's hear what your issue is.
Under the approval of the 2025 Campus Master Plan update, I don't think that the record is accurate. It says that I had made a motion to table the vote, and I don't recall doing that. I did review the recording of that meeting, but I didn't ever make a motion to table it.
We can look at that. I seem to recall that there was, in fact, that motion. I recall saying it requires a second. And then later there was a motion to limit debate, which did get a second and a 2/3 vote.
Right.
But we're happy to look at that.
Could that be reviewed and updated in the minutes before we make that vote? From my recollection, there was a motion to approve the end of discussion, and I brought up a couple of comments and a question that was then shut down by the motion to call the question, and then we voted on the master plan.
Well, Madam Chair, it's up to the trustees to approve or not approve the minutes. If you're asking me what my recollection is, it was that we did have a motion to postpone or table.
Right, so, go.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
My input
Speak
would
into
be-
your mic, so.
My input would be if if the minutes reflect that Trustee Baldonado made a motion and she doesn't recall that, I think the safest course would be to go back and ensure whether or not that was made in the record and then have us approve them.
Can we vote to approve pending that correction if necessary?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think-
That's a
I
technical
think-
matter rather than we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can approve the minutes and we'll go back and review the dialogue and make the necessary corrections one way or the other based on the video itself.
Yeah, that's, I don't.
But you can approve it pending, and we'll go do that due diligence.
And so if it needs to be corrected,
We'll correct it if it
then we'll
doesn't,
correct
we
it.
won't.
And there was a lot of comments about that red line version discrepancy. Is that something we can clarify in the minutes, which document was voted on by this board, so that there's not ambiguity?
Yes, and as I said, we went back and looked at that. It's very clear at the main meeting, the first item in support of that action was, in fact, the clean version.
So, do we vote?
Well, if there's a motion to approve the minutes in a second, then we'll vote.
Okay, so we've had a motion to approve the minutes.
I don't think we had it yet.
We did. Lance made the motion.
That was it.
That was on the consent agenda.
Okay.
I move that we approve the minutes subject to a technical correction if necessary about the trustees' vote.
Okay, and is there a second on that?
Sure, second.
Second by trustee Carp. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Let's start with the people on Zoom first.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Okay, the rest of the room?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed? Okay.
Now we're on the consent
Yeah,
agenda.
we have a motion and second pending on the consent agenda.
And now we have a motion and second pending on the consent agenda. All in favor of the consent agenda? We'll start with the people on Zoom first. Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, and around the room? Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay. Thank you. We're now going to move into the president's report, and I turn the microphone over to President Corcoran for his update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just going through real fast, the grow students, grow money, and
Your mic's loud enough.
am I good, Jeff? You guys can hear me?
Okay, get it closer, that's fine.
Yeah.
On the grow students, grow money, and grow prestige. On the grow students, we're about 30% ahead of last year. Our SAT scores are 1228, our ACT's 26, and our GPA I think is 4.2. So all the numbers are up again. We're up in enrollment. I think we're going to be somewhere between, I had this conversation with the president of the student body, somewhere between 350 and 400. We could probably do more, but we're going to have to balance it with whatever growth limitations we may or may not have going into the fall in terms of housing. So the student enrollment growth is fantastic. The scores are fantastic. We just found out we'll be, I think it's the third year in a row, it's not official, but we'll be, we will have scored over 70% on our performance metrics. If you guys recall, when we got here, we were in back-to-back years of student success plan where we lose half our money, which is multi-million dollars, because we didn't perform well enough on the metrics. Now we're 3 years in a row of performing well on the metrics, and it looks like we're going to hit almost 80% on retention. And for this current year, we're ahead of 80% in retention. So those are just two, just to put it in perspective. And I think we only hit over 80% 3 times in the last decade. So these are huge numbers in terms of growing the student body and maintaining them and creating that. I think a lot of it's the culture and all of the improvements that we've made. Growing money, we're in the middle of legislative session. It's an early session this year. Obviously, one of the big items that's talked about is the USF merger. We'll see where that ends up, but that would be a game changer for the university, and we're very hopeful for that, in addition to hopefully securing some additional funds and maybe an additional tranche for the new building on the main campus, which would ultimately have a new student cafeteria too. So we'll see where that goes. We're probably right at the halfway mark. The budgets haven't even come out. They'll come out probably next week, and that'll start that whole 4-week process of us working in Tallahassee. We just got back The entire students, faculty, staff went up for New College Days at the Capitol. It was, again, a resounding success. Tons of great feedback from the presiding officers and legislators on the interaction with the students and how wonderful they were. Thank you, President, for coming with a group of students. It was very productive. And also on the fundraising front, we just secured another $1 million donor. And so, in the last 6 months alone, I think we've done more than we've done in any given calendar year. Just in that time frame, 3 individual in the last year $1 million donations. So on the fundraising front, it's going well at the foundation. And I keep telling you, if you look at our 2022 990, we were at $39 million. Now we're up to $54 million in our endowment. So it's almost pushing a 40% growth rate in 3 years, which is outstanding. Hats off to the foundation and Sydney Gruters and the entire board. Jim McDonald, who's one of our alums, is now running the foundation. And before that, we had Adam Kendall, who was also an alum. And they've just done a fantastic job transitioning who our money managers are to cutting back on expenses to raising more money. So the fundraising side is going very well in that regard, too. Faculty, we're doing more hiring. The provost office has been fantastic. We've done so much hiring in the last 2 years, probably pushing 60 plus. This year will be a light year, somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 12 new faculty. But those searches are ongoing, and we're having good interviews. They're continuing to come to the campus as we speak, and so we'll have hopefully a final list for you sometime in May where we landed in terms of the faculty hiring. But that's going very well too. The federal funding, we, as you recall, we started putting in for federal projects when we about 2.5 years ago. It looks like we're in the budget right now on the federal level for $800,000 to continue the resiliency and the path along the waterfront that's been long proposed and thought of not just by New College but the entire community. So hopefully we'll be able to continue to make headway. It's not going to get us very far, but it's going to continue that, just start that ball rolling of unifying the waterfront for the entire community. If you're here physically, you'll see the baseball field is cleared. Hopefully that'll be done by sometime early summer, and they'll be able to play on that next year. We have multiple other projects. We'll probably break ground on the Contemplative Center, which is on the property just adjacent to us on the north. All of those are continue to move along. We had great meetings with all the bonding people and all the government levels and also at the financial level. So hopefully we'll break ground in the beginning of the summer on a new dormitory space too, also on the west side of the campus. But all in all, things are good, and just keeping our fingers crossed for another great session, and I think that'll really help us to continue. We won't have to slow down our growth at all. I mean, the USF could be a real game changer in terms of keeping us moving as quickly as possible. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Let's start with the people on Zoom. Anybody have any questions for President Corcoran? Seeing none. Okay, what about, okay. Yeah, I'll recognize, so that we have a clear record. Hang on, recognize Trustee Baldonado has raised her hand that she has a question. So, go ahead.
You and I spoke earlier this morning about how even if we have the USF Sarasota campus or if we have students housed there next semester, there still would not be enough beds for students, especially with an incoming class of 350 to 400. So, what would the timeline be now for building new dorms? I think at the last meeting in August, you had shared that we might vote on something in December and break ground ideally in January. Obviously, that hasn't happened, so I'd like to know when we will start building dorms.
Well, we have to get through that. What I told you is we have to get through the master plan process. So depending on when that takes place, we'd move as quickly as possible. So I would hope that there'd be something early summer for sure. But, and as we talked, we have built, in essence, a brand new 155-bed dormitory attached to the campus that is housing 155 students. It's just called the USF Sarasota Manatee Dorm. So we've moved very quickly on acquiring additional dorm rooms. What I mentioned to you today too, President, is Unfortunately, we have the ITNs out on the street, and we'll see. I think the market's turned, and it's much more of a buyers-friendly market for renting and what have you. So we'll see what we do. But in the plan for those extra beds is always going to be the hotel or some other place comparable to the hotel, which gives us that extra 120, 150 beds. So that's still in the plan, and we'll just have to do it for another year. We're trying to get out of that as quickly as possible because it frees up, just a tremendous amount of funds for other purposes. But we feel that we'll be well poised as we have been each semester for the fall.
Thank you. And there was a comment earlier on the air quality on athletic fields. Are we planning to look into that?
We will look into it. I'll ask. I mean, we've only been here 3 years, so that air quality probably has been an issue for all 63 years, but I'll look into it.
Okay, do we have, yes, Trustee Spalding.
I think you had mentioned $800,000 from the federal government to help. Is that a direct grant or strings attached? I don't recall that. Where it's coming from?
Congressman Buchanan put it in as a direct appropriation for the school, and it's for the resiliency and the extension of the dock that you see in the back of College Hall. There's community plans that exist that have a walkway going from Caples all the way to the Powell Crosley. And so that would allow us to continue to move along on our section that we control from the dock further towards the Powell Crosley.
So it was a one-time direct appropriation?
That's correct.
Great.
But we've kind of broken the ice, I guess.
Yeah.
We kind of cracked the door open now, so hopefully we can kick it down in the next few years and get the additional funding. We also have the funding, another $1 million for the Caples Mansion on the waterfront. So that's getting roofed and stuccoed and painted. And so that hopefully, I think we can start construction on that probably in the next 14 days. So
Where's that coming from?
That was a state grant. State matching grant. And so we got one the year before too, Trustee, and we used that one for all the interior. So the interior is done, and now we're moving on to the outside. But that should hopefully be done by the end of summer. So when the students come back in the fall, it'll be just absolutely breathtakingly beautiful.
Great.
Any other questions for the president? Comments? Okay. We're going to move now into the Presidential Evaluation Standing Committee. Today, we're here to discuss the goals and objectives on awarding President Corcoran his annual incentive compensation of up to $200,000. The goals and objectives were outlined in the contract between President Corcoran and the board. I'd like to recognize my vice chair, Ron Cristaldi, to discuss this item before the board now, and then we can make a motion and have discussion. With that, Vice Chair,
Thank
floor
you,
is
Madam
yours.
Chair.
Can you make sure you?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can they?
Is my microphone on well enough?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, as you indicated, the Presidential Evaluation Committee gathered. It consists, of course, of the board chair, Chair Jenks as committee chair, as well as trustees Anderson, Baldonado, Jaquat, Karp, and Patterson, and myself. We had a long and robust meeting to evaluate the 8 categories in the president's contract. The board might recall that the presidential contract became effective in February of 2023. It had a 5-year term through February of 2028, and it included within the contract 8 criteria which we would evaluate the president on annually in order to determine his bonus, and as the chair indicated, the bonus amount could be up to $200,000. The packet that was distributed to the board includes the president's contract as well as the president's submittal to the committee that outlines those 8 criteria area and the performance metrics as they were met by the president. They're in some level of detail, and in the committee, at the committee level, we did walk through those on a line-by-line basis and talk them through and evaluate them. I won't reiterate them, but the committee found that each of the 8 criteria were well met by the president's performance. And Madam Chair, the committee's recommendation is to award a $200,000 bonus to President Corcoran under the contract.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Cristaldi. At this point, I'd entertain a motion to approve President Corcoran's full annual incentive compensation of $200,000, and then we can.
I believe, and our counsel can correct me, it comes as a committee recommendation, so do we need just a second? Yes.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Discussion, questions? Needs to see anybody on Zoom? No hands up? Okay. Trustee Baldonado, you're recognized as having a question.
I just had a comment and then a question. I wanted to add on to Trustee Cristaldi's summary that I did emphasize that moving forward we'd like to see from the student bodies, we would like to see more engagement from the president with the students, make sure that our voices are included in the decision making, whether it's hiring or campus changes across the landscape. And student government, of course, will try our best to work with your administration. That was my only comment. And then my other question was there was a comment about, at that meeting, there was a comment about how President Corcoran overperformed. And I wanted to ask if that is the evaluation, should this board then be considering new goals or new benchmarks for the contract?
It's a great question, Trustee Baldonado. And as you'll recall, we did talk a little bit about that at the committee level, and I believe, Madam Chair, certainly it's within the purview of the board to discuss that. I believe the committee's feeling is that most, if not all, of the goals were really accretive year to year, and we had not achieved the 5-year aspect of the goals, but we had made sufficient progress along the way. And the committee did talk about but declined to recommend any changes or additions to the goals for the coming year.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and I saw a hand, I believe, Trustee Bauerlein, did you raise a hand? No. Okay. And just for the board's edification, I did speak to the chair of the Board of Governors for the state university system, so the BOG is aware of our vote today and the request for this board to approve the bonus. So we've had a motion, we've had a second. Let's have a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you, President Corcoran. You've done a tremendous job. I couldn't be more proud of the work that we've accomplished in such a short period of time.
Thank you. You know, I think the only thing I do really, really well is surround myself with some extremely talented people. And if you do that, they make you look good. But, you know, if you look at the list of things that those are achieved in mass by just, I mean, I could just go through all of our vice presidents, but they just do an absolute amazing job, whether it's in athletics recruiting, whether it's in coursework and curriculum with our provost office, you know, raising money at the foundation, handling students, all of the legal issues that we have to deal with on a daily basis, the communications, you know, requests that come by the dozens. Everyone just does an absolute amazing job. And very, very blessed to work with great people who, and it's a really, really great culture. If you ever get to spend time with us working, it's a really great group of people having a great deal of fun, getting up every morning, trying to change people's lives, and that's an exciting thing to do. And it's a great honor to work for all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, seeing no new business, we have completed the agenda for this meeting. I thank everybody for coming out. And do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second? Second. Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.